My name is Britta Augsburg. I'm an Associate Director at the Institute for Fiscal Studies, and within Thrive, I'm the International PI for Thrive Ghana, alongside Professor Jafus Anamoah-Mensah, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today. I have the pleasure of chairing this session, which as before has 30 minutes for presentation and 15 minutes for questions and discussions. We're not going to shorten it, although we start a little late. Our speaker is Professor Joseph Agbenyega. He is professor in the Counseling, Special Education and Neuroscience Division at the Emirates College for Advanced Education, where he currently serves as the research chair. He's a certified teacher educator with 25 years of experience in teaching. He earned his professional doctorate from Monash University in 2005. And prior to joining the Emirates College, he held academic positions at the University of Ghana, as well as Monash University. His research focuses on the psychological and sociological dimensions of educational inclusion and inequality among children and youth. He approaches this both from the micro and macro level. At the micro level, he examines the role of teacher dispositions, cultural and family practices in shaping inclusive teaching and learning. At the macro level, he investigates how policy and government support educational equity and quality. He also draws both on quantitative and qualitative research methods, informed by a wide range of theoretical perspectives. He has published his work on child development in 2 books, numerous book chapters, and many research articles. So we're very fortunate to have him with us today, speaking about his recent work on children's safety and well-being in a world of complexity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much this afternoon, and I'm happy to be here. But before we start, I would like to acknowledge Dr. Sue-Ann O'Neill, whose PhD project, which I was honored to supervise, has sparked this presentation. But before we delve into it deeply, we are going to take a test. Yes, because all the time as teachers and researchers, we give tests to children. And then when we mention tests, their heartbeats begin to rise. So before we do the test, I wanted you to be very honest, to put away your phones. No AI, no Google. All right, so the test is very simple. Just be looking at the background when you take the test. So the test is in pairs. So you are going to ask your friends to find a friend, and the test is only for 1 minute. What is the difference between looking and seeing? That's the test. No Google, no AI. What is the difference between looking and seeing? Okay, I think you finished your exams now. The exam is over. The test is over. I think you are enjoying the test. So, all right. I want somebody who is very confident to share the difference. What those two, because they are common words we use all the time. But the project is based on seeing, not looking. So I wanted to hear your version of the difference. When we are seeing and we are looking, what are we doing? What is the difference? Are there differences? Yes, anybody who is confident in the audience? Yes, I can, yes? I see, yeah? Yes, all right. Wonderful. I like those words you mentioned, analyzing. So, seeing is the ability to discern, analyze, identify, make inferences, and make judgments. But looking is not like that. Looking, you are staring at something, but both work together. You have to look to see. All right. So the project that we are going to scale up, or which we have scaled up in Australia, which is working very well, is called the SeeMore, to see more. So it means to discern more, to make more judgment, to be able to decide whether to do or not to do. All right. So all over the world, we know that safety and risk is a major concern in many countries, particularly in Africa. So if you look at the data here, you can see that even in Ghana, Ghana study, a lot of falls, a lot of bends, a lot of strict knockdowns. So there is a whole lot of safety and risk issues across Africa and other developing or poorer countries that do not take safety into consideration. And in other parts of the world, safety transcends every aspect of life. For example, when we look at Ghana, those pictures are coming from Ghana because I do research in many countries, so I'm taking from different countries to show you. You can see that a child is riding a bicycle with two other passengers, but no helmet. All right. And then you can see children engage in stone quarrying, children engage in street hawking. But we cannot say stop street hawking, but what we have to do is to give them safety skills to be able to deal with their social situations. Now, we will look at other areas of how we come to develop safety risk intelligence, and then I will ask you to also take another test, what safety risk intelligence is all about. Now, if I ask you and myself, can we say we are intelligent species? Because we'll be coming to look at what intelligence is. Then we'll begin to question ourselves in what we do as early childhood professionals, whether as knowledge is increasing, are we becoming more intelligent, or are we becoming more idiots, or are we becoming in our world? How is our world turning to be? So the next thing I wanted to talk to you about now in this plenary session is how we can help develop children safety risk intelligence. So I will take you through risk, then we'll look at intelligence, and then we combine it to form a concept which we can help children acquire. Because a child with a safety risk intelligence wouldn't even harm an animal, wouldn't harm the environment, wouldn't harm themselves because they have that safety consciousness. So the abilities that are important in the environment that help us to live a balanced life constitute safety risk intelligence. So the question is, our children living a balanced life? As adults, are we living a balanced life? Is our life balanced with our environment? Now, intelligence is also the ability to interpret, understand, and control life's experiences. So the question is, as individuals, are we able to control our life experiences? As researchers, because if we cannot control our life experiences, how can we scale up that in children to be able to control their life experiences? Because children are born into a beautiful world, and the people who mess up the world for children are the adults. So the question is whether adults will continue to mess up children's world and then blame that, okay, children are not developing well. Because if you look at what is happening in the world, the issues that we endanger ourselves with are all caused by adults, but not children. So what does intelligence also mean? It involves multi-cognitive responsiveness to ourself, the environment, which involve the spirit, the heart, the mind, and the body. And it is also how we connect to the collective whole, and responsiveness and interconnectedness to the environment, as well as a value-based sensing relating, knowing, doing, and problem solving. But let's move away from that kind of old-fashioned IQ test, because intelligence in those classical times is based on IQ tests. Some of the tests which are biased, culturally biased. So intelligence is not fixed. It is culturally constructed across time and space. So moving on, risk. So what is risk? And then we put the three together to form the concept safety, risk, intelligence. Then I'll take you through the study quickly, and then its application and scaling up. So risk is exposure to danger or the potential realization of desirable consequences from hazard arising from a possible event. So life cannot be without risk. There is good risk. Without risk, you cannot progress. Too much risk also, you will endanger yourself. So where do we fit as humans in the spectrum? Whether to take risk or not to take risk. So if you look at UNGA, it says too much risk and we endanger a child, too little risk and we fail to provide a child with healthy opportunity for growth and psychological development. So the balance is what is important, because sometimes we fear for children. In Africa, we always say, stop it. Our language is, stop it, don't do that, don't touch it, because we are afraid for children. But if you go to other countries, children are allowed to take risk, because the children have been helped to develop their safety consciousness and to be able to manage their own risk. So every situation in a child environment will have different effect on them depending on the culture of that society. Now let's look at safety, which is very paramount in everything we do as early childhood specialists. All of us are early childhood specialists gathered here, but then you can do everything for a child, but if the child hasn't developed that safety consciousness, they will wreck their own future. So recognizing an injury risk moment and saying no is safety. So for example, if a child is crawling towards a water pool, and then a child realizes that, okay, it is not safe for me to enter the pool, that is a concept of safety. But culture and community family, and individual beliefs shape the way we understand safety. Now, let's look at this particular picture. When a ball fell into water, the first reaction of the child will be to do what? To get a ball. If a child is playing in a park and then accidentally the ball crosses the road, the children's first reaction is not the car that is coming. Their focus is on what? The motive is to get the ball, irrespective of the danger surrounding. But then a child with safety risk intelligence who can see more, because you now understand seeing, who can analyze the situation, will be at a safer position to avoid that risk. So a skill is important. So how do we come to develop this skill in children? I know lunch is coming, and to glue all your mind here, I wouldn't make this presentation too long, all right? So that is also assessing the risk. You see, I'm assessing your risks. So in every situation, you have to assess the risk and ensure that you have safety risk intelligence in whatever you do. So I will show you a model. This model comes from Hedegaard, Professor Marianne Hedegaard that I worked with before. So we have in general society. So in our general society, we have 3 traditions, all right? Culture 1, culture 2, and culture 3. So the first tradition or culture 1 is family practices. Children come from family first. So we have different family practices. Those of you who have been doing research, all the Bangladeshi researches, Bangladeshi families are not the same. Every family has different practices, so that we call family practices. Then we have the second tradition is preschool or early childhood tradition or practices. Then we have school practices. Then across this, we call it institutions. Now, in all these family practices, the child exists within them. And what helps the child to move across all these practices, what we call motives. So what are motives? So motives are socially and culturally constructed understanding of behavior and practices across time, that in which children are nurtured to grow. So understanding these traditions help us to develop intervention to support children's long-term development. So these are the program team made up of myself, and Dr. O'Neill is over there. Then we have Professor Marilyn Fleer. Some of you may know Professor Marilyn Fleer, a very renowned laureate fellow who was my mentor at Monash University. And then we have Professor Joan Ozan-Smith, who works in Accident Research Center at Monash University, very renowned researcher as well. So all these teams gather together to understand preschool children's perception of safety, safe and unsafe situations, and we also wanted to understand how children gain greater safety awareness, knowledge and skill from the SeeMore program. SeeMore. You have to, the Ghanaian will say, Bieweni, that is, open your eyes wide to see. All right. But it's not just opening the eye, not the physical eye, but opening your mental eye to see. All right. So moving on. So the project design, we have the following samples. So you can see the first sample, 302 children, 3 to 6 years, pre and post intervention, 91 parents, pre- and post-intervention, 8 teachers, and 8 preschools. Now, the project covered all the 3 cultural spectrum that I explained to you before. So we selected participants from all this so that the project will be holistic. So these are the number of participants breakdown, and after the intervention, how it was scaled up in Australia, particularly Victoria. The study started in Geelong Council and Ballarat area, but now it became ingrained in the culture of the preschool. Every preschool is doing it. It became automatic, something that the children are growing with. So this is the project timeline, the main study, pre-intervention, and then we have the post-intervention. And there were testing tools that were used, both qualitative and quantitative. If you want to know more about the project, you can contact me. We can have a one-to-one chat about it. Then these are the tools used. And this particular mascot doll is very phenomenal in the project because it is the master safety guide. Whether you are doing the safety thing well, and if you are not doing it well, it's not going to it will scream at you, all right? And you know children, they love the moments like that. So I am not doing it right. And the mascot doll can even lie down on the face, meaning that your safety ideas are too bad. So this engineered children thinking in the safety program. So these are all the tools that we use: hard copy of teacher's guide, and then we have hazard posters in a school, SeeMore safety mascot doll, a set of testing card, class story books on safety, student story booklet, take-home activities for each child, teacher-parent bulletins, and a safety sign all around. So it's a comprehensive program to help children develop safety risk intelligence. We don't want to be policing children. We want children to be doing what? Policing their parents. Have you turned on the seatbelt? Have you put on the seatbelt well? Have you done this? So parents become like a guardian angel for their parents at home. So these are some of the pictures from the program. So you can see a child riding unsafely and a child riding safely. And even in Abu Dhabi, where I work now, children ride across the street, no helmet, no safety consciousness at all. People ride, and then the children's arm is out of the car. If you ask yourself, how many children have died as a result of safety issues in Africa, it is really huge. Drowning, even teenagers are drowning because they don't have any skill in swimming, right? So this project, actually, these are also some activities for children who can notice the difference between this and that. Anybody who, so we come to SeeMore again. What can you see? SeeMore. Who sees any difference between the two? Aha. So the children are asked to identify, to see more, what is happening here, what is happening here. Although the child put on the helmet, the strap is not done properly. So children are given different kinds of subtle pictures because sometimes we assume children are not mature to think. So all we do as early childhood researchers is to be thinking for children. And that is a mistake. Children can think. Babies can think. It is how we begin to nurture in them that thinking skills. So the analysis, we did a mixed model factorial analysis. So I'll just share a very brief results with you. I will not share all the results with you, and then I will talk about how can we scale this up in other countries. So this is the analysis of variance, which demonstrate that a statistical difference in pre and post children's scores, which shows that in the intervention really where children develop a high level of safety consciousness and begin to practice safety related behaviors. So this is also another part of the result, which shows pre and post result, demonstrating the efficacy of the SeeMore program on children conceptual development and how they build their safety concepts. I'll show you another one before we go to its application. This is another finding based on the outcome of the research, which shows that the children in the pre and post intervention programs and those who participated in the intervention program show increase in their safety skill development. And this is also the parent comparison group pre and post intervention test that compare parents who participated in, whose children participated in the program, and then those who did not participated in the program. Their increased identification of safety hazards in their environment and how they are building, even cautioning their parents about parental bad behaviors. The children become the advocates of safety in the family. Then for qualitative comments, because parents were interviewed and they begin to say things like the children are now enacting the vocabulary of safety. One of the most important things for children is to have the vocabulary for risk and safety. All right. First, sometimes they talk about bad, not good, but now parents give a whole lot of account on how the children have begun to talk about safety issues. Now we come into the application part. What can we scale up in Africa and Ghana? Ghana now is facing a chronic environmental disaster. And the disaster that Ghana is facing, decimating its green forest as a result of what we call illegal mining. Illegal mining, if you go back to your hotel, if you have your phone, just Google the effect of illegal mining on Ghana's vegetation cover. You begin to weep for Ghana because, and then the question this morning I was chatting with the Director General of Education, who is also here. He will be having a panel this afternoon. The chat is that why are people devastating the environment? Is because the foundation for safety and risk has not been built into children's consciousness before they become adults. We think that when they grow old, then we can say, okay, it is not good to cut down your trees. It is not good to devastate your environment, but it is too late. Children's safety, risk intelligence is not only about crossing the street safely. It is about how you live in harmony with your environment. How you begin to understand, how a child begins to understand that it is not good to damage the environment, to kill an animal. And for adults too, it is about your food choices and the food choices that you make for the children. Whether the children are drinking fizzy drinks, sometimes parents do it because they don't know its effect. So safety risk intelligence cut across the whole spectrum of a child's and adult's life. So we can scale up the methodology of the study. We can also scale up in curriculum. For example, in Australia, in Victoria, the curriculum of early childhood has safety in it. So the children, even babies, are having swimming lessons. So for example, if something happened, a child will not get drowned again. So it is embedded in the curriculum. So you can embed this in curriculums in your own countries. It becomes part of the culture of society. Another way we can scale this up is collaborative shared learning. Children cannot develop safety consciousness without actually working with parents, because there should be consistency about what happens in families and what happens in schools or kindergartens. So that is also something we can scale up. All right. We can also include environmental sustainability in the safety program so that in the future, the same children today will be the politicians of the future, so that they are not thinking in terms of profit over the environment. Thank you. All right? So if we build this safety risk intelligence into children, the benefit transcends all aspects of policymaking, governance, and everything. So it is not just about environmental safety, but also governance safety. Right? So in conclusion, what can we say this study has provided for us? As in Australia, children will tell you, you don't throw rubbish here. They separate, even they ask their parents, have you put that one in the green bin? This one is for this one, because it is part of the school curriculum. So what do we have to conclude with? Safety and risk are contextually situated. So when you go back to your own context, analyze how safety is contextualized there, whether there is any conscious effort to develop children's safety risk intelligence. Children's active involvement can help develop their safety awareness of risk. Then injuries and harm to self and the environment could be prevented. We wouldn't be struggling to talk about environmental degradation if everybody is on board with safety risk intelligence. Finally, today, the SeeMore safety program is an effective program that can build children's safety risk intelligence. And if you haven't taken anything from this conference, remember that there is difference between seeing and looking. Thank you.